Hey guys.
All right. Hello and welcome. My name is Doyle Buehler, and I'm with my co host, Keith Keller, who will say a few words coming up very, very soon. We also have a special guest, Sarbjeet Johal, who will be joining in our discussion as well. So, welcome, digital challengers and live stream. Welcome to Livestreaming Decoded, where we show you the strategies, tools, and the platforms that your business needs to define your brand value, create remarkable digital experiences worth remembering, and deliver online anytime and any place as well. Today, we're talking about what's really important here, our live streaming ABC, audience building content. And I got to thank Keith for coming up with that fantastic idea. So, today, in part four of our limited series shows, we're talking about Periscope and live streaming security via StreamYard. And we're broadcasting on StreamYard. Let's dig in. Keith, welcome.
Hey, look, we are on part 4. I'm really excited about this, and I'm going to spend a minute or two just decoding what's happened so far. We're on part 4. This show was going to be about Restream. We're going to talk a little bit about Restream, but mainly the things we can't do. We can't have guests, and without guests, I can't personally see the point of Restreaming, although I have got some friends that do it, restream.io. And there are some really cool features we'll talk about later. But what we've decided to do is we've decided to use StreamYard.com, which in my opinion, in part 4 and beyond, is unbeatable in the live streaming place. Last week was Zoom. It was hard. It was really painful as a live streaming platform. We did it. It was fine, but it was really hard to do some of the basic things. So today we're using StreamYard. We're sending the file to Facebook and Periscope simultaneously, and Periscope automatically syncs to Twitter. So right there, we're on Facebook, Twitter, and Periscope simultaneously using a site called StreamYard.com. And then what we've decided to do is send the replay to YouTube, and you can get the replays at livestreamingdecoded.com. I'm setting up that. I have to manually do that, but I'm prepared to do that because it's a better use case for our listeners. And I think that the whole idea of live streaming decoded is we are trying things as we go, and we don't know everything yet, and we're trying things, and some things work and some things don't.
Yeah.
Doyle's going to talk a little bit about what Restream really means and how there are some cool features. We're going to talk about Periscope. We're also going to talk about the live streaming security thing, because that's really powerful today. This week, lots of stuff is going down, and you need to know what's the good, the bad, and the ugly. Zoom is fine, but we're also going to try WebEx eventually. We just found out today that we're going to do LinkedIn Live next week. Now, I'm not throwing all these terms at you to confuse you. I'm just showing you that we are the crash test dummies. We are in there
You can
trying
have the
things.
dummy part.
I'm a
Or I get
dummy.
the dummy part.
We're bumping into walls where we really don't know how to do this yet, because we are the ones that trying it out. And I like
Yeah.
that positioning. I like the idea
Oh,
that
for
we've
sure.
tried things. And so first things first, we're using Periscope because we decided not to use Restream. What happened with Restream, and why didn't we use it?
It was a little bit. Well, the main thing was that it didn't have guests. And just before we jump into that, I want to say that you did say something, Keith, that was really important. Is that we don't know everything, so that's why we've been having guests to come and talk. And today we've
Yeah.
got Sarbjeet Johal, who's where are you joining us from today,
Hey,
Sarbjeet?
I'm in San Francisco area in
Oh,
Fremont to
fantastic!
be precise.
Free
Central
mantle.
Valley. Huh?
Is there a free
No,
mantle?
no,
Fremont.
Fremont.
Fremont. Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
Fremont
yeah,
next
yeah,
to San Jose. Yes.
Okay.
yeah. There's
Yeah.
a Fremantle over here in my part of the world.
Oh, is that
Yeah,
right?
cool. So thanks for joining us, Sarbjeet. Tell
I'm
us a little
happy.
bit about yourself.
I'm happy to be here. Actually, I'm a practitioner of technology for the last 25
Hmm.
years. Came to Silicon Valley in '94 and yeah, economics major, but started coding when I was doing my PhD in economics, which I left in between. So never looked back when I moved to US, and I coded a lot of systems at PeopleSoft, Commerce One, companies like that. And then I joined Oracle after that, then EMC, then VMware, then Rackspace. and then Oracle again, and now I'm independent consultant for the last about four
Yeah.
years or so. So worked with many startups and so forth. So I kind of live and breathe technology in this world, you know.
And what did you call it at the beginning, Sarjeet? You said
Um,
it was a technology.
um, no,
Your
I'm a
role,
technol. Yeah, I'm a technologist. I practice that. I mean, that's what I said in the
a
beginning.
practicing technologist. That was it. I
Yeah,
think.
yeah.
Is that
Actually,
right?
I'm a
Yeah, yeah,
independent consultant. If you want to get my title, and I
yeah.
work with C-level execs to do their go-to-market strategy and technology consumption. I focus on cloud mostly for last
Mm,
Yeah.
12 years. I've been working with the cloud providers, service
yeah.
providers, and before that, technology providers. So, yeah, I'm mainly
Amazing.
a software guy, not a hardware guy. Or yeah,
Okay.
Okay, that's good.
And
glad
so
to be
what
here.
about live streaming? Like how do you use it for business or for fun or whatever the case may be?
Yeah, yeah. Actually, it's a mix right now. So I use it for my personal brand. I did not use live streaming for business per se, but in a way, we did. We used to do WebEx, sort of a mass education for system integrators from Oracle, from PeopleSoft days. We will,
Mm.
train bunch of people, like hundreds of people, with the system integrators, right? They will watch us how we do stuff, demos, and all that. So it used to be partially recorded. It's a recorded, like how do you do stuff, right? How do you set up a new supplier in the supply chain management, for example, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Or later, how do you set up cloud and all that stuff. But then after that, we'll take it to Q&A. That part was live, so it was like a hybrid approach. So the tools were not mature. There was only few players, like only Cisco mainly was doing it. So yeah, and few others. But now it's totally different. So I use it now. As of late, I started using Restream.io. Actually, I'm not well versed with other sort of vendors. I do use Zoom a lot, Microsoft Meetings, the live meeting, is that called Microsoft? What is that?
Teams. Yeah, yeah.
Teams.
Teams.
Yes,
Yeah,
Teams.
yeah.
You can tell, like I'm not using that much. So Microsoft
Yeah.
Teams, I tried
Mm.
that. I didn't like it. So of course, like used Cisco's WebEx a lot in the past, and net meeting and stuff like that. So yeah, it has been fun. The what I started, why I started using Restream.io was like it lets you stream to multiple platforms at the same time. So you have just one camera, one mic, and then you just go out to the world. It doesn't let you get uh, invite actually guests, right? But it
Yeah.
is on their roadmap. I see on their website they will allow
Yeah,
Yeah,
that.
it's
you can
coming.
apply
So
for
yeah,
it. I applied for it as soon as I got it, so
yeah.
or as soon as I rather set up the account, which is good. But I'm actually surprised that they didn't have that before. And I know everybody can't have everything to start with, but um,
Your
to
volume's a little
me,
low. Joel, your volume is a
oh,
little
is
low.
it?
If you can bump it up a little bit.
Mm.
Okay. How's is that? Is that a little bit better?
Yeah, a little bit better. Mine might be low now. I just bumped it up a little bit.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I mean, to me, live streaming really is more about, the communication that you're having, the connections that you're creating,
Yeah.
as well. And to not have that as sort of a baseline tool, like it kind of, I don't know, to me, it kind of defeats the purpose type thing. It is okay from sort of the training perspective, the webinar perspective, like, yeah, get my information out there and, away we go kind of thing. But from the community side of things, like that's, I think, what's really important today.
Well, look, let me pick up on that because one of the really powerful ideas of why I came up with live streaming ABC, audience building content, is that we've been doing a lot of Twitter polls, and our audience said that the two things that are most important to them, and I think I've sent you a copy of the poll. I'm not sure if you've got it, but we can talk about it organically. Is that what they want to create content, but they also want to build a community. And
Yeah.
I believe, as Doyle said, we don't know everything. And the real power, I think, of live streaming is when you collaborate live to say, you know what, I don't know the answer to this. And isn't it great that we can get someone from Perth, Fremantle, not technically Fremantle, but Fremantle. We can get
Close
someone
enough,
from
yeah.
Fremont in San
Yeah.
Francisco, and we can get a guy
Yeah.
from Melbourne, Australia, together
Yeah.
on the screen talking about these tech challenges, cybersecurity, all these different things. I don't know everything, and I can't possibly learn everything on my own. So the idea of not being able to have guests is a weakness I can't get past for now.
No,
But when
true.
Restream adds guests, it will, I will say, be unbeatable, because it has, and I want to hear your thoughts on this, Doyle. It has significant add-ons, significant goodies, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. There are some little features that are pretty good. For example, being able to broadcast to multiple channels, more than two, like StreamYard in their initial level of paid accounts, they only allow you to stream to two channels, and then it jumps up at like double the price for three or more. So
Yeah.
Restream, yeah, it has them all set up. Away you go. Facebook, you can multi stream as well to your personal profile, multiple groups. Not just one Facebook page or group at a time as well. Periscope and that sort of thing. So there's a lot of things that you can actually do. It also has the ability to pre-record or preset rather a. Sorry, I was just trying to go live.
You can record the video and put
Restream.
it there, and actually schedule it up front. Actually, that's what you
Yeah,
mean.
a little scheduling tool ahead of time. I saw that. That's pretty cool, isn't it?
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
cool. I
exactly.
think at high level, I think we have to take a look at the live streaming as two different things. One is outlets where the eyeballs are,
Yeah.
right? That's Twitter, right? Through Periscope, kind of, right? And then that's LinkedIn, and that's Facebook. Mainly those three platforms, right? Google has its own thing, but there's no outlet other than, actually, Google has one, which is YouTube, right? So I think that we should treat that as outlets, and then we should treat the platforms as a separate thing, right? And restream.io is a platform which will let you go to these outlets. And
Yeah.
these outlets, by the way, they let you go straight to them with live stream with the camera and mic, but that's only for one thing at a time, right?
Yeah.
So I think we have to take a look at those separately, and it gets pretty complicated pretty soon once you start producing like more professional looking um, live streams, right? Where there's a ticker at the bottom, and there's news on the right, and call to action, link, and stuff like that. And
I want to pick up
Yeah.
on this because a friend of mine said, "Oh, look, I can't keep up with all these different sites." And I said, "Look, don't worry about the tech, worry about the audience." So, for instance, and I did the stats today, Periscope has 1.9 million daily users eager to get content, 2 million. But most importantly, Twitter owns Periscope, so it automatically syncs your Periscope feed to your Twitter feed, and Twitter has 166 million daily users. There's 166 million people there, not all wanting your content, but there's a lot of them that would. And so if you know that Twitter and Periscope is a powerful way to share your content, 168 million daily users, and they're under 50, they earn over 80,000. There's a predominantly male audience. Once you understand the demographics, and next week we're doing LinkedIn Live because that's a different demographic, suddenly you don't have to worry so much about the tech initially. And then all these other sites like Restream, they allow you to look better, because we've all done this, we've all seen this, and Carol, my wife, who's working from home, has got all these stories of people getting up from the table and they've got no pants on.
Yeah.
And they're just doing these live streams with a suit and tie and underpants, and I'm thinking, well, why would you do that? And she says, oh, it was hot, I didn't want to wear pants. Okay.
Well, it's cold today, so I am wearing pants.
And there's other people who said, look, I'm busting to go to the toilet, I'll just put myself on mute, and they don't put themselves on mute, and suddenly they flush the toilet in the middle of a meeting. So what we're doing here with this tech is we're trying to make each other look professional. And I love what you're doing, Sarbjeet. I just love that black background. It just looks so cool. And that's a technique. That's a bit of tech.
Mhm.
Yeah, rather than having clothes in the background on the hanger, or the vacuum cleaner in the corner, or kids walking past, because we're living
Well,
life
let's
working from home.
can we dissect that, Sarbjeet? How do you actually do that? Is that a virtual cam that you're using, or is it a studio or office, whatever?
Well, this is my office actually. This is if I move it around a little bit. I don't know if you can see my guitar, all that stuff.
Sure.
That wall is up there. It's white. It's just the. I went to this clothing store to get this little thick mesh of kind of cloth like thing. It's like a vinyl kind of thing. So I put it back
Okay.
there, and it gives me
So
consistent back.
it's just a background.
Yeah. It's not. There's
Yeah,
no
and
green screen. Actually, I have a green screen, which I hardly ever use.
yeah. They
Yeah.
sometimes they're not worth the hassle, quite
No,
honestly.
it's not actually. Yeah, your hair is moving, and it's just when you move, like,
There was
sometimes your part of your ear is floating around.
Yeah, there was one lady I was watching on a live stream the other day, and she had like beautiful, puffy hair,
Hmm.
and she had like a virtual background, and it's like, how on earth is it kind of going through all the hairs? Because you have the individual hairs out
Yeah,
here, and it was like
yeah.
normally you'd see like a lot of digitization here on the outside, or green or blue or whatever, but it was like perfect. If I find it,
And
I'll have to
the
ask
other
her.
thing too is that I've never seen this done before, Subject. So your live streams always look different. We know it's you because no one else does that.
Really?
That's
What is it?
Yeah.
How?
Well,
Have you
that's a
ever
good
seen it
point.
done, Doyle?
With
No, I
the
haven't. Actually, it is very unique, Sarjeet. Yeah, and you know what? That's perhaps what we need to do is how do we identify our space in something like live stream? That would be
yeah.
Yeah.
sort of an interesting question to partake. Because yeah, I can know that that's Sarjeet because we were on a live last week where you came and joined us,
Yeah.
but it's a very distinct look and it really
Oh,
kind
really?
of
Yeah.
stands out. Going, yeah, okay, that's pretty cool.
And that's all comes down to branding, doesn't it? We
Branding.
we
Yeah.
want we
Yeah, the
want
more the personal branding.
when you see that, that's Subject's, that's his live stream. We will
Yeah.
develop a bit of a flavour over time. At the moment, our flavour is that every week is different. That's our flavour
Yeah.
because we're trying things. But when we get our mojo and we decide on a format and a set of graphics and maybe some theme music and a font and a style, our show will take on a format. But I think it's very, very important. You've got the tech, you've got the content, but you also got the audience, ABC, audience building content.
Yeah, I think we talked about like how many active users DAUs, right, are on Twitter versus LinkedIn versus Facebook. I think those numbers are like big numbers are meaningless in many ways because
Okay.
I think we need to know who do we cater to and where those people are. Right?
Yeah.
In B2B, I'm in a B2B tech, right? So I know LinkedIn is where most of the people sort of hang around. And then Twitter is also a big part of that, like where the real time dialogue happens. We have so many discussions around cloud, edge, and cloud security and system security and data centers and all kind of stuff. Like you can get so much out there. And then there's so many thought leaders and daily active on that. So I think that I would rather have 100 active listeners than like 10,000 people listening to
I
me.
agree with you.
Yeah, who don't want to, they're not interested in it, or
I
they
think
are not
the reason
focused.
why that's important, Subject, is that Restream can be a little bit of I won't say the word trap, but it can be very enticing to think that you could send your file to 30 sites. But look, I'm not sure anyone on Twitch would be interested in this.
Yeah,
They might,
some
but
people.
probably not.
Yeah.
But people on Periscope or Facebook or LinkedIn
Yeah.
who are actively online and engaged, they would be much more likely to get our stuff. And that's where I hang out, so I can chat to them after the show.
Yeah. The one most important thing I think we talked last time when I briefly showed up on this show was that the interactivity has to be there in live. If there's no interactivity, then it's not live according to me. It's just like I can record the video and put it out there. If I'm not interacting with, like, somebody joins us and say like, hey Joe, hey Cindy, hey call people by name, but we can't call everybody, of course, but like randomly, pick people and say hello, and take their questions in real time. And then Erica is here. So
Yeah,
hey,
yeah,
Erica.
Erica.
So
Welcome, Erica.
yeah. So
Okay. So Erica's, where is there? There she is. She's in Facebook. This is exactly what we're talking about,
No,
isn't it?
well, it
exactly.
says she's coming from Periscope.
Oh, there
Right?
is. She can.
Are
She
you in
can
Facebook or
say it.
Periscope?
Periscope. I was going to ask the question with StreamYard, because you can have up to 5 if you pay the $50 a month. It sounds now like you can actually bring in guests from Periscope. Yes, on Twitter. Don't you think that's cool?
That is awesome.
Say
That
what?
is awesome.
What? I missed that, Keith.
What I'm saying is, I just assumed that you could only bring in guests' comments from Facebook, but now it seems that you can bring in. Because I know you can't do that with LinkedIn. You can't. They don't have the API. What do they call it? The API.
APIs.
They don't. They don't allow you to bring in the comments from LinkedIn or even YouTube, I think. But now we know we've got active listeners. Erica can ask a question and we can respond. That's exactly what we want, isn't it? So ask a question, Erica, and we'll respond to it.
But then bringing people into it as well, right? And having that conversation, right? I mean, this makes it so much funner with, Keith and Sarbjeet to be able to talk about this stuff than just kind of doing it myself like a boring old webinar kind of thing.
Yeah. It's the webinar process, isn't it? Just the sort of a flat sort of me talking to you.
Yeah, one thing I want to mention is, like, you guys said that there are some platforms which don't allow you to invite the guests, right? And that's a big shortcoming. But you can bypass that if you use, I always miss these names, like OBS Studio. OBS is a standard, like it's like the facto standard in doing the live streaming. People who are doing it for a while, like gamers and all that, they do that.
Yeah.
So you can have multiple cameras, and you can have some things coming from your screen, and something is like playing on YouTube, and you can merge those together into small windows, and you have 5 things at the same time and stuff like that. So I think we should not rule out the Restream.io or any platform which doesn't allow you to invite
Isn't
guests.
it hard? Isn't it hard? Is it hard, Doyle? You'd know. I couldn't get it to work.
Yeah, look, it is fairly complicated, and I mean, if you're a tech guy, it's okay, but at the bottom line is that this is for businesses, so we want to make sure that they're able to restream properly or stream period without sort of that complexity of it as well. And part of our rating system is, on a scale of 1 to 5, how easy is this to set up type thing. So we want to keep it easy for business as well. If you're doing a regular show and you're producing and getting all that sort of as part of that, then yes, absolutely, you need that that level of technology to be able to carry it forward. But for the average business, how do they kind of quickly set up? How do they get themselves out there to be anywhere, anytime across the internet?
Well, let me give a quick shout out to my friend Murray. I forget how to say her name. She's just asking the question: what's the business proposition?
Murray Ryan, Social Media Marketing Institute.
What's the business proposition of live streaming? Why would you do it? Why would you go on live stream? How's it going to generate income or business? What do you think?
That's a question for me.
Both.
Actually, I think it's brand building, not sales channel, if you will. So you can smart marketers will turn into more sales funnel later, maybe 6 months down the line or 1 year, where you click on something and they save you in database and they call you back, right? But I think it's mainly brand building. It's your putting your authentic message out there. It's connecting to people. It's actually community building. It's great for educating masses. I usually say that to outcompete your competitors, you have to out-educate the market. That's how it works.
Say that again.
To outcompete your competitors, you have to out-educate the market. So you have to give more education than your competitor. And that's why Amazon AWS is AWS in cloud. And that's why Microsoft was Microsoft in the 90s with their VB language and stuff like that. So you have to have whatever communities you are serving. It can be developer community, operations, it can be whatever, right? It can be a restaurant, like a business. A restaurant, you might be a company which provides technology to restaurants or utensils to restaurants. So you need to talk to them, right? So you have to build a community around that. I think that it helps you that way and put your brand out there.
Can you
Yeah,
pick up on that,
absolutely.
Doyle? What do you think? Oh, that's a great
Yeah,
idea.
yeah, no, absolutely. It's about educating your audience, right? I mean, is there a direct ROI? Yes, there would be if we sort of funneled people into, a program or something like that. But there's different types, right? Is this a sales presentation? No, this is an educational format. So we're looking at it, from a funnel perspective at the top of the funnel type thing, just sort of educating and providing that trust, which in today's day and age, we're starting with zero trust online. So we have to be able to build that substantially as well. Otherwise, yeah, we don't have an audience, right? This is to build an audience, and that's ABC, right? We talked about that first. So
Yeah, I will ask you guys, like, do you guys trust a live video presentation over a pre-recorded? I mean, it's, I think it's a simple answer. Like, you will, I know what you will say, but tell me which
you
one you trust.
mean as opposed to watching a live stream like this, as opposed to being recorded?
Yeah, pre-recorded on the same topic. Which one you will prefer to watch?
Well, you can bring the energy to something like this, right? To something live, but you can obviously record it and watch it later. So I think that that's sort of what's exciting about it, is that you can have, we've got three different people across three different or two different continents kind of thing. So how do we actually talk and communicate? And so there's an energy associated with that. And to
But
me,
look,
that's sort of the fundamental thing.
I think you're right, Sarbjeet. I think the idea that, like these YouTube videos where people talk into the camera and they've got this one thing to say. I'm getting a bit sick of them. I mean, okay, these people know what they're talking about and they talk at you. They talk
Yeah,
at you.
yeah,
But right now, we're talking in real time, and we've got guests, and actually we've got audience members asking questions. You
Yeah,
just can't get any better than that. Sure, there's
I
going to
got
be
it.
a recording, but we've got Erica in Jamaica talking to
yeah,
a guy from San Francisco, Perth, originally from Canada, and an Aussie from Melbourne. I mean, you just can't get better than that. I mean, we've got the whole world on one screen. Look at
yeah.
that.
Yeah, Erica
Yeah,
says Erica is saying that she prefers a live session. I think a live gives you authenticity. There's no edit. Like, we come across as we are. There's like our ums and ums are not chopped off. Our personality shows, our vulnerabilities are like exposed to the world. We come across, like, it puts other people who are listening or watching at ease. I think that's what
Yeah.
that's why we love radio still. I mean, a
yeah.
lot of people said radio will be dead when TV came, right? But it never died. It will never will. It
No,
never will, because it's
because
one of the best forms of storytelling, right?
and because I
Wow.
can't watch video while I'm driving my car.
Exactly.
Hey guys, I want to keep moving here. Just going
Keep
quickly
moving. Yeah.
back to restream here. Actually, I gotta share my screen again. Sorry. I just wanted to quickly show you what one thing was really interesting, was that this was the only package that I found so far that has analytics, right? So you can actually
Oh,
see
okay.
what's your stats are doing, what's happening, how many viewers do you have, and where are they, and what's going on, and that sort of thing. Audience trends, you can see here: average viewers, max viewers, watched in minutes, new followers, right? So there's that level of detail here that was really quite important with Restream that I didn't actually see in any of the others as well.
Can you
So
pick up on why that's important, just in case people haven't been
well,
able
then
to?
yeah. Well, in that case, live streaming ABC, right? Your audience is there. You know who they are, what they're doing, how they're doing it, and that sort of thing as well. So it's more a matter of how do you actually connect with that user? Are you creating content that actually is able to connect with your audience? You can also schedule the specific event as well, which is it has a nice console. So honestly, if they get past the one sort of viewer, and yes, you can use. I tried to actually set up a virtual cam with it as well, but the virtual cam for Mac didn't didn't allow you to. It had sort of a backdoor way of getting guests in as well. So there's not many virtual cams for Mac. The one that I found cam, again, you'd have to use the app, which is another step. And I wanted to make sure that whatever we talk about is pretty simple. It's easy to manage. It's quick. It's easy for a business to kind of get started. Once you get into it, then go for it. Yeah, if you want to add sort of that complexity as well to it, that can certainly move forward also. So that's Restream. Now let's get into Periscope. We want to go through the criteria as well. So I'm just going to shift my screen, but let's talk a little bit about Periscope, Keith. If you want to sort of head
Yeah.
that up, and I'll get
Yeah.
the stuff
So
ready in the background.
the reason why I've decided to focus on Periscope this week is because it's popular with my tribe. Coming back to the audience idea, we did a really robust Twitter poll, and we asked the question, well, what do you want? Where do you watch videos? Do you watch them on Facebook Live? Do you watch them on Periscope? Do you watch them on LinkedIn Live? Or do you watch them on YouTube? And 52% of people say, well, look, of course, I watch my videos on YouTube. So please make sure whatever you do, you put something there.
Yeah.
But 24% of my audience that want to do hear what I have to say, and of course you have to have your own stats on this. 24% of my personal audience wants me to live stream on Periscope. 24%. So I thought, well, I've got to honour that. I've asked the question. They've given me an answer. Now let's try it out. So Periscope is an app on your phone. And most people would know it as an app on your phone where it predates TikTok. It's very similar to TikTok.
Yeah,
it's
I've
5
got the
years
stat
old
up
now.
there, Keith.
There it is. See?
Yeah.
So we've got, is that cut out? There it is. So 52%, 24%, and then 20% LinkedIn Live. Facebook Live. 3.4% on LinkedIn Live. That's the 3.4% of the world that's even heard of it. Most people have said I haven't even heard of it. So if my audience wants me to live stream on Periscope, it would make sense to me that I would work that out. Again, it's audience building content. Where is my audience? Give them what they want. So we've been researching ways to send our stream to Periscope. You can't do it with Be Live, even though I quite like Be Live. It only syncs to Facebook Live and YouTube, which is fine, but it doesn't sync to where my audience is. Zoom doesn't sync to Periscope. So there's no point me using Zoom because it doesn't sync to where my audience is. So Periscope started life as an app, very similar to what TikTok is now. Fun, funky, here I am at the shops, having an ice cream. I'm at the beach, I'm rollerblading on the beach. And it morphed into something much more than that. And with sites like StreamYard, which we're using today, or Restream, or OBS, or XSplit, which we'll talk about over time, you've now got the facility to use your desktop or laptop and create a show. Yeah. But it doesn't have all of the functionality and the criteria. Like it's very hard to schedule ahead. It's got a lot of the criteria that we found important is not present. You can have guests now on the app, up to 3 guests. It's a bit clumsy, but it's possible on the app. But my main inspiration for using Periscope is that's where my audience is. And that, in a way, that's got to be the main priority. What do you think, guys? What do you think about Periscope? What's its use case?
I think Periscope is great because of Twitter, right? And if your connections or your people who watch you, what do you say, or people you interact with, they are on Twitter, then I think Periscope is great. But yeah, I want to cover some other stuff. Like, I don't know, I'm very curious about hearing your feedback on that. I think Periscope is good. I mean, to answer your question, but we have to bucketize our viewers, whoever is listening to this, right? We're calling it streaming decoded, right? So there are people who are just beginning. A lot of people are just beginning to explore it. Some are intermediate, some have been doing it for a while, right? So I think we should talk about the tips for beginners. In my view, the tips for beginners from my side is like, just pick any platform, pick any camera, any mic, decent, right? And then start talking, start streaming. If you're still, even though you're alone, you can do that, right? And you're reading the comments and replying. You have to be at ease with the camera, with the technology, with like kill your ums and ums. And that kind of stuff, right? So it takes a while. Seriously, in the beginning, I was camera shy and I didn't want to be on camera at all. Like there are a lot of people who don't want to be on camera.
Yeah, yeah.
And and then some people talk and they hide their face and they have this emoticon or whatever. They still do that, right? So I think just start doing it. I think that's my tip number one. And then technology, as you said, Keith, don't worry too much about technology and worry about the content and community. Technology will catch up pretty soon.
Yeah.
Doyle,
Look, I
go
love
ahead.
what you said. I'm going to throw to you in a minute, Doyle, but I want to pick up on what you just said there. Brian Fanzo says, push the damn button.
Yeah, exactly.
Just try it. Now,
Exactly.
that sounds a little bit easy for us because we're into this.
Yeah.
But and the reason, and I want to pick up on exactly what you said. The reason this show exists is because I want to be the guy, the crash test dummy, and I'm happy to own that label. I want to be the guy bashing into walls saying, hey, guess what? We couldn't get it to work. Don't do this. Don't do this. Don't try this at home. But what I can say for sure is that StreamYard is amazing. We've done it. You can see it right now. And what that does is it takes a lot of the fear out of people that haven't done it before, because one of the big criteria, and I'll throw to you on this, Doyle, one of the big criteria is a test run. If you've never done it before, you don't want to go live and make a fool of yourself. So pick up on what Sarbjeet just said there, Doyle, and come through the right criteria from the Periscope perspective.
Yeah, it's sorry, I was lost track. I just saw a comment from Anne Marie. I just wanted to post that as well. That's the other thing too, is that with live, it is sometimes you're trying to juggle what's going on in the back end. Is somebody commenting? What is somebody else saying? Do I need to kind of continue the conversation? So there you saw a moment where it's like, oh, Keith, what were you talking about? I was focusing on getting the screen share ready, then seeing a comment from Anne Marie.
You got to
welcome,
moderate,
Anne Marie. Yeah. So it's not an easy job, but it's one that you have to kind of get the hang of it. And that's the thing too, is once you do it, like just keep going, right? It doesn't matter if you scrub up or whatever. Like it's just keep going. The camera's on. Just keep talking, and away you go. So
it's such a great comment, isn't it? You'll never get comfortable in front of the camera if you never get in front of the camera.
Yeah, that's what
exactly.
And Mary said, yeah, she's so right. I think some people call it Twitter the water cooler of social media. We get together there, talk, and we disperse. We come there, talk about a topic, and we leave. I think live is like that too. So yeah, live is not easy. And by the way, I think in the last show I made a couple of comments, which are kind of like, if you dig deep, why video is important, right? That we have to understand that. And then why we cannot actually look at the comments, right? Because there's so many comments. Like, okay, it's a nice problem to have a lot of viewers, right? But at the same time, it's a problem because people are typing stuff, right? And then you're like, which comment should I pick? Which one should I answer, and all that stuff? Because you want to make it look like more interactive, right? And for that reason, I think as a presenter or presenters, have to announce up front if this live stream is going to be interactive, or we will take the questions at the end or in the middle, or what's the format of it. So people who are watching, they are not, because I seriously feel like a stupid guy, dude, whatever you call that. And like when I am typing all the stuff, I'm stretching my mind and thinking deep about that topic they're talking, and it's falling on deaf ears. Like it goes in the stream of like all these people saying hi, everyone.
Has this happened to you before? I've never experienced what you've just said. You've actually been in a live stream and you've made comments, but they're not acknowledging you. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, exactly. It's not even acknowledging. It's like they are. Yeah, it's very relevant content, but it's ignored. I think we need tools using AI or machine learning to pick up the comments which are relevant to that topic, because there'll be a lot of junk in there. People will cuss and say you suck, whatever they can. If it's really publicly live, they can come down and say whatever they want, right? So you have to pick from the good ones from that, and that's where data sort of science will come into play. I think soon we will see those kind of tools being added on. Those will be add-ons to the content. So
let me just pick up on what you said there, because we're talking to beginners. You're saying this is a nice problem to have. We have a live stream, and we know we have Erica from Jamaica and Anne-Marie from Melbourne. We know we have at least 2 viewers, at least 2, and they're making comments. Now, when you get busy, you're going to have hundreds of comments, and the hardest part for Doyle, because he's moderating, is he's got to look into the camera and sound like he's listening to me, but he's also got to put one part of his brain on the comments so that he can add the comment relevant to the conversation and acknowledge the people that are listening, because that's very important. I really want to honour what you said there. I've been in situations where I've made comments and I'm going, hello, I'm here. Why won't you acknowledge me? I've made a really relevant point there. I want to help. And it's really quite a dynamic process. And I actually think now that we've added Periscope, this is even better than Facebook. Do you think the comments are better this way, Doyle, or do you prefer the Facebook version?
I like the Facebook version. Well, this is actually like I've sort of coming to like StreamYard quite a lot more. The comments are quite easy to see. They are off to the side. They're very clear. And thanks, Anne-Marie. She's, yeah, just to go over this comment, if you make a mistake, laugh and keep going. People appreciate your vulnerability. So true when you're running that. And then this is where women, i.e. multitasking, comes in and very handy. You're right. I can't multitask. At least in the morning. I'm a little bit better in the afternoon. So make sure we don't do a live at 6 a.m. Yeah. So that's maybe something to consider, is do it when your brain's up operating at the finest as well. And thanks, Erica, as well. Some great comments also. Let's keep going here. We got to get through this criteria. Otherwise, we're going to be here like all day, which I suppose isn't a bad thing. But we're going to talk quickly about Periscope, and we'll run through these. Just really short answers in terms of how we want to look at them, or what we want to do. So we're talking Periscope, right? So category number 1 out of 5 presentation. How many guests and how do they connect?
So with the app, you can have 3 guests, but only on the app, and it's a little bit clumsy. Not suitable for the PC or desktop versions.
Yeah. I use the desktop version, so it's a lot easier to work with. They connect with a simple link. So the guests get a certain link, you click it and away you go. It's got to be super easy. Chroma keys and background blur, you can do chroma keys in StreamYard. Don't have one set up for now. We don't really need it. And as we talked about, it's one of those things. It's better to have just a normal background, because then you don't have to worry too much about the tech. Screen share, yes, we're sharing the screen right now. So absolutely, you can see what we're doing and how we're doing it. Branding, screen graphics, and overlays, yes, 100%. And again, they're pretty easy. Sorry, I'm talking StreamYard.
That's right.
Need to be adding in, we need to be adding in Periscope too. So my apologies. Do you have anything to add there for those 5? Audience experience as well for Periscope.
So let's be very clear about what Periscope is and what it isn't. It's not a desktop. It's not a dashboard. It's an app. So it's very simple, and that is the big attraction. It's like TikTok. It's very simple. You simply have an app on your phone and you push record. And that's always been its fundamental use case. But as time has evolved, it has got some more goodies.
I was hoping to share my screen, because I'm on Periscope here in the iPad app, but I couldn't actually connect it. So yeah, it is a very simple app, and it's basic. What do you want to talk about when? Let's press live now type thing. So there's no extra buttons. You can do audio only, video, location, send out tweets, that sort of thing. You can switch your camera front and back, type a few messages, and away you go. It's super simple.
I have used Periscope many times for many years now, because they were the first ones to start live streaming. When I am sitting at Oracle Open World, right, or AWS reInvent, I am in an interesting session, and I can just point the camera towards the presenter, and then it goes to the world. So because many times those sessions were not live, they didn't used to be live, and they still are not actually. Only the keynotes are live for big conferences. So if you like a session, you just point the camera there, and then you can show it to the world, and it's recorded in the history, in the digital sort of, it's there all the time. Like, so you can go back to it, watch it, and you can get the recording and chop it and make it tweetable, like chunks, and reuse the content and stuff like that. It's a beautiful thing.
It's very good.
Pretty cool, mate.
Picking up on this exact use case. You and I both, Doyle, have been to events that have either refused or just haven't been able to go live.
Yeah.
And I've been at events where I'm thinking this stuff is great. It's
Yeah.
unbelievable, but no one's going to see it except the people in the room.
Exactly.
And then we go away. It's always pissed me off about going to events and not having a recording. So the great thing about Periscope is you go live and you are there and it's real and you get a link. When it first started, you may remember it was ephemeral like Instagram, but now it saves. It's there forever. So it's a very, very, very good app for recording real life. And it stays. So I love it. I love it, but mainly from the point of view of having guests and recording in education. So it's got a very valuable use case, I think.
If we put things in perspective, like, media was controlled by big giants, like only kings and queens in olden times, like maybe 1,000 years back, only they could send a message. And even like 50 years back, even 20 years back, it's the only media giants could go live and tell their story. And now everybody has a smartphone in their pocket. Everybody can tell a story. If you're a good storyteller, do not hesitate to pull out that camera and just go live. Do not hesitate. And there's so much content being generated, and so many good artists are being found, and so many philosophers in many areas. And they build their own brand. It's crazy. Like TikTok is like spreading like wildfire. I'm from Punjab, India, actually born and raised there, and I see a lot of Punjabi content. It's like funny kids videos, all kind of stuff. It's crazy. Like some stars are being made on these platforms.
Yeah, that's where that creativity needs to come in too, and that's probably one of the foundational skills or assets that we need to bring is that creativity, right? How do we do that? How do we sort of build upon that? How do we create sort of those opportunities? And live streaming is that platform that you don't necessarily have to be, Mozart or Van Gogh to be creative, right? You can sort of be creative in your own world, in your own business practice or whatever the case may be. But that's what you've got freedom to do.
You've mentioned it many times, Doyle, that we are democratizing content now.
Yeah.
Well, that's part 3 of our ABC, right? It's content.
Everyone gets a chance to have their say.
Yeah.
Like I remember watching a movie about when women got the vote. Just say as an example, this is a very good example. And in 1918, guys would say to their sisters, "Well, I can vote for you. I get a vote, and I'll vote for you." Yeah, but what happens? But what happens if your opinion is different to mine? Well, suck it up. I'm the guy. I'm the boss.
The funny thing is, even if your candidate loses, right, you still can go live and tell your story.
That's right.
Like even you're voting, and even in the countries where if you can't even vote, in some countries there's no democracy, you can go live and tell your story. People do that all the time, and they bypass some firewalls and all that stuff. Countries firewalls, and China is closed, all that stuff. People bypass that, and then they get their voice heard. It's that simple. One example I always cite is a teacher in third world country made more than $1 million sharing his lesson plans with teachers in developed nations. They will buy that lesson for like $1 each or something like that, and he made millions of dollars, and more than $1 million or something like that. That was news last year. So
it's just a lesson plan,
lesson plans for teachers, like you're teaching math or some stuff. So he will just make it formal, and then you can just, rather than you creating it, you just buy that for $1, and it's a power of democratizing, like power of reaching to like 10 million people versus like 10 people in the room. What Keith, you talked about. So it's the scale thing, right? Scale scale is amazing thing, actually. yeah, exactly. I'll stop there. I know I can talk for hours.
The reason why this is important is that we're slightly outside the loop of this particular content. But why don't you go through the list anyway? Because it's important to map over these criteria.
Yeah, so we finished the first 5. Scheduling in advance, no built-in registration pages. Look, we're looking at it as a business tool, so you know what? Maybe we have to adjust the criteria as well. Ease of use and setup, that's like 100% right there. It's simple. You download the app, away you go. You use your phone, you use your tablet.
Yeah.
You don't need to worry about your desktop. They do have like a publisher suite I found for Periscope, but that's getting into that complexity stages as well, where you can use something like OBS as well. Practice runs and record only, no, but that's the whole point of it too. It's like this is live, this is away we go kind of thing, so we don't really have to worry about that. And let's get the next one up here. What's been a highlight of live streaming for you, Sarbjeet?
I think it's just being authentic, being like honing your art, if you will, and of course coming prepared with like just outline. I'm going to talk about these 5 things, but
Yeah.
I don't have anything scripted under those 5 bullet points. It's all natural. It's whatever comes to my mind at that point. As we were given tips in this live stream from people watching us, like if you make a mistake, keep going, just smile away and then keep going, because if you just start dreading, oh my god, I made a mistake, and you will freeze, right? So
Yeah.
it also
Well,
helps you in public speaking, I think,
Ah,
in an
yes.
indirect way. So you're in front of the camera, you're getting comfortable with like talking about a topic. The one problem I had in the beginning of my career was that I will have like 10 streams of thoughts in my mind. I cannot channel it in because I have only one mouth, right? Then I can say one thing at a time. I'll like jumble up all the thoughts, and I will make sense to me, but not to people. So it helps you practice that and start
yes.
small. You will get fewer audience in the beginning, and it will grow and grow and grow. It takes years for people to have a good number of audience and stuff like that. So my advice to all of you who are listening, watching, is just press that red button. Most of the time it's red to record.
Yeah. Push the red button.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, red button.
Press the red button. Exactly. And that's the thing, is that you have to keep going because sometimes things don't work. Like right now, for example, I'm trying to load the rest of the pages here into Dropbox, rather not Dropbox itself, but my preview screen, and it's not actually connecting. So that's
Yeah,
where you gotta, yeah, keep talking. You gotta
yeah.
sort of ask
Have a
questions.
backup. Have a backup plan,
Yeah.
and
But I do like the idea of being able to have that sort of an outline, really. And you don't have to go in there being totally unprepared, right? You can
yeah.
actually have a quick little, that's what I do. I've got my talking points on a little erasable
Yeah.
board
Yeah.
here. And that's kind of what I want to do and what I want to talk about. So to make sure that I'm covering all my
So,
bases as
so these
well.
are my talking points for where is it, the camera? Okay, here for
Yeah,
today's
yeah,
talk. I had
yeah.
bunch, so I just wrote that in 10 minutes before we started,
Yeah.
and of course we covered like less than half of it. But it gives you gives you a framework in processing your thoughts.
The
Yeah,
thing that I
Yeah.
find fascinating, just picking up, Sajid, on what you just said there, when you have pre-scripted, pre-formatted videos, sure, they're lovely and
yeah.
everything works and everything looks great, but it's a bit boring.
It's
These
a
are
bit
very,
boring here.
these are very dynamic.
Yeah,
We get to see the real you. You know, we get to hear that you did make a bit of a script, but that you haven't got a chance to say everything, which means
Yeah.
there's more to you than this.
And
exactly.
the
Yeah,
intro at the beginning, that's I've written that out because I want to make sure that it comes across, as best as possible as well. So it's important to have some of these cues set up. Some people can do it and they just kind of say it and away they go, and they've got all their ideas in their head and that sort of thing. I'm not one of those people, right? I need to make sure that I've at least partially prepared for these types of things, so I don't stutter and say and
Yes, yes, yeah.
and all that kind of stuff as well. All right, so moving on here, category 3 out of 5 is business and ROI. So cost and freemium model. Periscope is free. You have to have a Twitter account, and that's it, right? So there's nothing to be worried about there. Away you go. There's no cost associated. Business aspects from selling and marketing. Guess what? You're in front of. I mean, there was a distinction too, though, that Sarbjeet and Keith were talking about, is that it doesn't matter if you're a 180 million audience or 100, which is better if you have a more of a sort of focus on the 100, but
yeah.
that gives you the opportunity to be able to connect with other people as well. Networking ability, open format. It's kind of it's the lives, the sense of being live, right? Like I've got Anne Marie making comments and questions, and Erica as well, which is fantastic. Thank you so much as well for joining in also. And it looks like, we've connected Erica and Anne Marie as well. So around the world, based on this show, we've been able to do that. So it's really a networking ability sort of built into the platform itself. Overall business value, how does the platform allow for good over business case? I don't know, Keith, Sarbjeet, do you want to talk about, and Periscope specifically, obviously?
Yeah, I think Periscope is tied to Twitter only. So that's the drawback, right? So you have this captive audience, but it's a subset of the audience. If you are a restaurant or something, or in B2C area, I think then Facebook maybe is a better choice for you. And then you cannot go from Periscope to Facebook because that they are in their own world. I think media in general is very segmented. You take the it's segmented. Like we have Prime videos here in the US, and we have Netflix and all that stuff for entertainment. The same thing is happening in this area. So when it comes to information, marketing, knowledge going from brands to masses, it's segmented. And these platforms like Restream.io and the one we are talking about today, other than the Periscope, they actually let you go to the multiple at the same time, right? So I think Periscope kind of suffers from that a little bit, but it has very captive audience if your people are there. If you're in high tech world, I think it's one of the best.
Yeah,
and
well,
if you're a starter, it's one of the best.
Let me flip what you've just said there. What you've just said there is absolutely brilliant. Twitter and Periscope are a subset of your audience, and that is a good and a bad thing. It means that you don't reach the Facebook audience. It means that you don't reach the LinkedIn audience. It means you don't join the YouTube audience. But the thing that's very interesting about Periscope is that Periscope people love Periscope. And when they go to Periscope, they know what to expect. Like when I'm on Facebook talking to my friends about Saturday night, I don't give a shit about someone who's doing some cupcake party in the western suburbs, or someone
you don't like cupcakes.
I do, but I'm talking to my friends. So Facebook is almost like the TV model. It's very interruptive. Such and such is live now. Well, that's great. I'm talking to my friends. I don't want to be interrupted halfway through. So the audience on Facebook is large, but their model is slightly interruptive. The audience in Periscope is smaller, but they're engaged. You can only do one thing on Periscope. Periscope is a live streaming app. You don't get cat videos. You can't plan your menu. You can't talk to your friends. There's nothing else to do. So when you go to Periscope, you know what you're getting, and the people that love Periscope love it. They love it, and they're engaged, and so it picks up on this idea of do you go for 100 engaged people or 2 billion people who could be doing anything?
Yeah, I think
somewhere in between.
Yeah, I think another on the flip side, I'll play sort of devil's advocate here, is that like you should serve, like I use food analogies a lot. You should serve the food in the plate people want to eat in, or the medium.
Right.
Like you should not tell people like you have to go to Periscope if you want to watch me. No. I think you should be everywhere. You should be everywhere you can be, because you can afford to be. So if you have the multi-streaming, I think you should definitely use it. But in the beginning, it is, even for me, it's daunting to think I'm live on the 4 platforms, and I will look different there. So it's like I will just to pick 2 at one time. Yeah. I think for B2B technologists, I think Twitter and LinkedIn are the best. If you're a restaurant owner, we can get it working. Yes, I think.
Have you got it? Have you got it?
What?
LinkedIn Live.
Yeah, LinkedIn Live. I got a while back, so I go.
You're the fifth person in the world that I know. I only know one handful of people. How did you?
Anne Marie's one of them.
No, actually, I was very active there, and I also I don't know. I went to their headquarters here in the Bay Area, and ate lunch with some people, and sometimes those things work.
A great comment from exactly. I was a great comment from Erica. I was able to connect with so many people, And Keith Keller connected me with you guys and several others. Fantastic. So it's global networking at its finest as well. Thanks, Anne Marie.
Yeah.
Thanks, Emery.
Really
Yeah.
good to see.
Great to see you
So
guys. Yeah, it's
yeah.
amazing.
Thanks for coming. And Anne Marie's got to take off, which is fine. Or sorry, I'll get it one day. Yeah, I will. All right, so let's keep going here. All right, so moving into the technical side. Actually, I was going to talk about Instagram too, because that's obviously a channel. We'll probably have to add this in later on,
Yep.
Keith. Maybe not a whole show, but Instagram is like Twitter or Periscope for Twitter. Instagram is, that live video channel as well that you can run with obviously the still images and that sort of thing too. So it's important to be able to look at where is your audience as well, and that's a part of our live streaming ABC.
Can we
Anyway,
just
let's
pick
keep
up on
moving.
what you've just said there? I think this is
Sure.
actually work that we can do it now. We can also do another show, and I'm very interested in Sarbjeet's opinion here. What is the use case for ephemeral content, the content that goes away? I mean, I've never been able to get my head around why people do that. What am I missing?
Well, that's like TikTok. I mean, you can save Instagram videos now in the last little while, so there is that save function. But I think from a human psychology standpoint, it really kind of means that you have to watch it, otherwise it's going to disappear. So what am I going to miss? Fear of missing out,
It's the
perhaps.
FOMO.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think it's that, and in a way, it's a good thing. Like how our memory works is like we forget most of the stuff, and we remember only the key events in our lifetime and the key incidents and stuff like that. I think it has to be that way, and then yeah, I think right now we're going through the phase like I usually try to zoom out in like a number of years, like 100 years, zoom out, and
Mm.
1,000 years, zoom out, kind of thing. Like I think we are in this phase for the last 10 years or so that we are creating so much content and so much exhaust. Like cars spits out the exhaust. It's waste, right?
yeah. We don't
So
want
what do you
more
do with the
content. We
exhaust?
want better content.
We are polluting the world with the content, I believe.
Yeah,
I think we will fix that problem. Like we have these clean cars, like they don't they just spit out the water, no emission. So we have the high emission rate in the content world right now, guys. So we need to fix that, I think,
Yeah,
going
well,
forward.
Mark Schaefer calls that content shock, doesn't he? I mean, there's
yeah.
so
He
much
does.
content going on that really,
Yeah.
where do you focus? Where do you start? You could watch content all day and still not catch up.
Well,
And
that's the
what
thing, right? We need to be able to create it, and as our message for businesses is that with live streaming, you can create it. So you're moving from a consumer to a creator of content. And yes, you obviously have to, create better content, not just more. But at the same time, like look at, are you watching stuff or are you doing stuff and creating stuff?
I think less. I think that's a key point. I will sort of build on top of that a little bit. I think less is more,
This
even when
is
you
more.
go. Yeah, when
Yeah.
you go live. So say fewer things, but meaningful things, as much as meaningful you can be, because in live you can sort of wander around a little bit. So I think it's an art, and we we are trying to figure this out. I think
Yeah,
quality
exactly.
quality still matters in live also. Yeah.
It does. Yeah, you can't just,
And,
verbal diarrhea, as they say.
And one thing,
Yeah,
actually, the last time we talked to it briefly, but we didn't have much time. I think we still don't have much time to talk about that. Video is not searchable, guys. I
Yes.
cannot
Yes.
search through videos. So the content becomes like less usable. So we have some tools being built. There are a lot of startups being funded in the Bay Area here in Silicon Valley. The VCs are pouring money into like where you can make the video searchable. Means you have to turn all the video into text, and then you can
yeah.
search through it. And
How do you
then
tell me why that's important, Sergio? Why is it important that you can search for videos? I know exactly what you mean, but just for the person in the audience that might not be familiar with this idea, why is it important that people can search your videos?
because like we want to get to the best content, like that, why we are able to, like why we search, why we Google stuff, why we go on like we all has become a verb, by the way, like we Google stuff. So why do we search? Because we want to get the best content coming to the top as users. So if you cannot search through the content and the video, then how do you know which video is better? Right now our reliance is on the number of views, and those can be skewed or manipulated. And there's a big industry right now in India. You can buy views.
Yeah.
These people have computers. They used to have
Yeah.
bots. they will like create views for you, and yeah, you can fool these systems. So I think the best content should come to front, and that the only way to bring that to front is having access to the content, what was being said, and the keywords and all that stuff, not just how many people watched it.
Yeah.
I haven't heard of this one,
Interesting
Doyle. Have you
comment.
heard of this?
Yeah. No, I haven't actually. Anne Marie says searchy.io. You can search video, so that's interesting. I'm wondering if it creates a transcript or a captions file as well.
Yeah,
We'll definitely
there are
take a
tools
look at
being
it.
built. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry, I do need to address this. Sorry, Doyle. You'll get it one day. What she's referring to is that I've actually applied for LinkedIn Live like 4 times to be exact, and haven't gotten it yet. And I don't think that there's a lot of people in Australia that have it, and I'm not sure what LinkedIn's problem is. So
They might be doing it regionally, or there's a big backlog or something. It's possible
yeah,
they're doing it regionally. It's
but
Microsoft
but
now, guys.
yeah, true. But what's the point of live? Like, isn't it to sort of facilitate conversations amongst
Yeah,
LinkedIn people?
yeah.
So ultimately, that's the tool that they're said, can be used to be able to do that. So, and Anne-Marie says searchy.io also allows you to search audio too. Wow, that is
Yeah.
really cool. I'll have to
Once you can
take
do
that up.
video, it's audio. Actually, it's the same thing. Yeah.
So what she's saying there is you put in a keyword and it'll take you to a section of the video or audio that relates to
Wow.
exactly what you're saying there, Sarbjeet. You want to know all the videos that came out today that mention machine learning.
Yeah. Last time we
Yeah.
talked
And,
about it.
and,
Wow.
and catalog them, and then you can go directly to that point. Isn't
Exactly.
that just
That's pretty
genius?
cool.
That's fascinating. Like you are expert in machine learning, and you want to know, like you are listening to somebody or five. You have this 5 ideal, like your heroes, if you will, in that area, and you are watching their videos. What if you can just go to that video which talks about that topic, and it's amazing. You will save so much time. And
What's
SiliconANGLE guys, the Cube guys in US, they are called ESPN of Tech. So they have built a tool. They haven't actually took it to the public yet. It works on their content only, which is like a lot of content. They produce
Wow.
thousands of video a month, thousands of thousands. Actually, they interview the CEO of Microsoft and Adobe and all that stuff. They interview those people, and they also interview programmers and practitioners at the same time. So that all that amazing content needs to be tapped in. I think we need
Yeah, and that's
better tools.
a huge space to be able to develop as well. If you can imagine searching for videos with your text. All right, category 4 out of 5 technical, so multiple channel broadcasting and quantity. With Periscope, it's one channel, right? One quantity there. That's all you're doing, and that's what you're broadcasting for.
Yep.
Video broadcast quality and options. What is the quality? I'm not watching it live, so I don't know, but I think it's like 720, so it's pretty.
I think
pretty
it's the
good overall.
quality of the phone you're on.
Yeah, that could be too.
So
I
if
think they
you're
can do 1080.
it might look. I think it would be. My Samsung 7 has QHD.
Oh wow.
That's the highest you can get on a phone. It's almost like 4K.
You're
I don't
such a
Yeah.
show off, Keith. You're show off.
But it's only a 7. I mean, it took me a long time to work out how to use it. But the point is that QHD, which is like a superimposition for the word 4K, means that on my phone, if I have my video set to the highest setting, I could play that on the telly.
That's cool.
So that's a good answer to that question. That you got 4K
100%.
video on your phone.
Those things are misleading, by the way. There's a lot of compression which goes on the back end,
Yeah,
because when you store that content, if you're storing it there, like if I have a DSLR here, which produces very high quality video, and I push that to Periscope or any other sort of live streaming platform, they're not storing that at the same, like they're not storing all the color profiles. They just trim it to like a smaller file size, and you lose quality. A lot of people don't know that about their pictures also when they put that in cloud. Be it Google, or Apple,
Well, I guess they have to make
they
it
lose
work, don't they?
quality. Huh?
Other than that, it wouldn't work. I mean, we've
Yeah.
we've got internet here that really dates from about 1988, and so we're
You got
lucky
to come
to
to Perth,
stream
Keith.
it all.
We have good internet in Perth. We've got 100 megabytes per second. So.
Whoa! Wow, that's good.
Yeah, I have like
That's pretty
1,000
fast.
Mbps up, 1,000 down. So quite big on that.
It sounds like fighting words there. All right, number 16, layout of host panel and customization. I've showed you it before. It's pretty easy. Whoops, I just turned that off. The panel's pretty easy to be able to see, so there's nothing complicated about it. 6 buttons, yeah, 6 buttons, and go live. The red button, as Sarbjeet said, push the red button and go.
Yeah.
Platform stability, is it stable? I would say yes, 100%. Doesn't stick. I mean, it does depend on your connection, and in this case, if you're mobile, you're using your data connection for the most part, or you should be. Not necessarily, but as long as you have the right connection. All right, post-production, create and download recordings in different formats. Are you able to record and download the session?
No, I don't.
Not directly from Periscope.
I've never
Periscope.
been. Yes?
Yeah, you can get the videos. Yeah.
Can you?
How?
Okay.
Tell me how.
If I have done that in the past. So by the way, and I can record a demo and send to you guys. But even if you cannot, any video plays on the screen. You can have the screen capture video and then capture the video with it, and that 1080, at least 1080. So
Okay. All right. Well, good. We'll go with that. That you can record it and you can download it. Ease of video editing and highlighted speaker view. It is all speaker view, so you don't really have to worry. This is the comparison with, for example, Zoom, where it has like speaker view. So if you're talking, it picks up the audio, and then that shows your screen as full screen. If you're using something like StreamYard, I can kind of position the people around the screen, and I can focus in on who's ever, whatever graphic we want to focus on as well. So we're able to do that. So that stat there is, how do we actually show more content through the screen as well, and can we use it for editing? Episode management, I don't believe there's episode management in Periscope, other than you can go back. Yeah, other than you can go back in your Twitter feed and see when you actually did your Periscope, and that's it there. But obviously that can be a little bit complicated. All right, our 2 bonus questions. Number 21, bonus overall skill level required. Sarbjeet, what do you think for Periscope?
basic.
It's very basic. Yeah.
Very basic. Good.
Yep.
Excellent. And on a scale of 1 to 5 stars, how do you rate the overall platform, and what is your one key takeaway?
I think for beginners, it's a 5. Can I give 10
out of 5? No.
Yeah.
5 out of 5.
5. Okay, 5 out of 5. And for like intermediate, it's like it goes down as you go professional. It goes even down, further down, because it's not for professionals or intermediate. If you're a beginner to sort of like, even if you're not beginner, actually just getting at ease with it, I think it's best, one of the best actually. Because it's not only you are sharing your ideas, you're sharing something happening on the street, some performer on the streets of San Francisco who is one of the best. You just go live and somebody sees it, and like, or you are sitting in front of Satya Nadella in a big conference, you can go live there. So it's an amazing thing. What with the technology democratization we were talking about, the stuff which was available to the kings and queens, now it's in everybody's hands. We talked about it earlier. I think that we have that with Periscope. It is so simple. With other tools, it's a little cumbersome, but this here, just go on the app and press that red button and you're live.
I absolutely
press the red button. That's the tagline.
I would give it 4 out of 5, and I'll tell you why.
4?
Oh no!
I'll tell you why. No, I'm a Twitter guy. Guy, and I love it. But it is primarily an app-based thing. Yeah. And it does have the idea of adding guests on the app, and that's quite a cool new feature. And one of the reasons I love it is because at the end of the session you get a link which lives forever. Yeah. So it's 10 times better, in my opinion, than Instagram Live, because the link lives forever. We've gone to all this trouble to get all this content together. I don't want it to go away in 12 or 24 hours.
Or have to find it.
I'll have to find it. And so I get a link, and that link will live forever, and I can then tweet it out again. I've found it quite hard to get a recording. I found that a major weakness in this system. I've never been able to work out how to do it, so I'm very interested to see how to do that. But you certainly can't get the download on your phone. It does suck up a lot of data. This is actually an important point to know. If you're out in the street doing a live stream, it sucks up a lot of data in an environment where data costs money, if it does for you, doesn't so much anymore. But when I was getting 3 gig for $30, a live stream would effectively cost me $10. So it costs a lot of money. And so I think it's a fundamentally wonderful thing. But without StreamYard or Restream, I probably would never use it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Without that additional functionality of adding it to StreamYard or Restream or whatever comes next. I personally have never used Periscope as a here's me at, because I'm not a here's me at type of person. I personally do not resonate with TikTok, and I can tell you for sure I'm never going to use it.
Oh, come
I'm
on,
not
Keith,
dead.
you'd be good on TikTok.
I am thinking about starting a tech comedy show on TikTok.
Oh, okay. A
There you
TikTok
go.
tech show.
comedy.
Tech
tech
comedy.
show.
Comedy.
We could call it
Tech
Tic Tac
comedy.
Talk. Or TikTok
TikTok tech.
TikTok
tech.
tech. Yeah, TikTok tech.
TikTok
You got
tech.
that.
So
I'm gonna
it's
give
a
it.
fun
Oh,
app.
sorry.
You go. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I'm going to give it 3 stars out of 5.
And why is that?
Well, from the business perspective, I think it's an okay tool. And what you just said, Keith, is very important. Is that unless you're that person that goes and does the live, immediately now kind of thing, short and sweet type thing, that's fine. If that's your audience and that's you as your personal brand or part of your business, then hey, absolutely. But from an overall business perspective, yes, I can broadcast to it, but I'm like you. I wouldn't necessarily go and start a Periscope live video because I can't see how I can connect the business side of it as well. It's about me. It is about me and my personal brand. So that's a good thing, right? But there's that disconnect there, I believe, from the business side as well.
Mm.
All right. So let's wrap up here. We wanted to also talk about security. We don't have a lot of time, but quickly, Sarbjeet and Keith, what are your thoughts about security? And there's obviously been a lot of things in the press about Zoom and Zoom not working or being insecure. Like, how do we deal with that? And should we all be jumping off of Zoom?
I will share my personal experience from today. Earlier today, we were like 6 of us talking about IBM Think. It's going on right now, happening, and then we was like, well, let's do the analysis of the keynote from yesterday. And Neil and Keith and a couple of guys from IBM were there. Like, one of us made a mistake of putting that link on Twitter, and we got very bad stuff being shown in our meeting.
Oh, really?
Oh, you got Zoom bombed.
Zoom bombed. Yes, it was so disturbing. We had to shut down the meeting, and then it was like the person who was running the meeting didn't know what to do. So it's like, okay, stop it. Like I had to do this. It was so bad. So it was like eye-opening experience. Like, what happened? Zoom has improved, by the way. So now you have to accept a newcomer into the meeting. Earlier it was just come on in. Like, everybody, you click on a link, you're in. Right now you have to accept. But when you're running the meeting and you cannot sometimes pay attention, same thing with our comments. Like, we're reading the comment and we're doing all this stuff, and then he accepted it, and it was bad. I think Zoom has a lot to improve. They still need to use, like, maybe delay. They need to enable like a delay in joining. I wish there was a feature that newer people join only voice only till I tell them that they can turn on their camera. I have the control. So by default,
really
like the first 30 seconds is always like that. I can know who it is, and then it's like, okay, I know it's really Keith. Some people pretend to be Keith, for example. They can pretend to be you, and they're not you. So because they know who was invited to the meeting. But I think security is a huge issue, and there can be IP leak. By the way, around security, there's another topic.
Many people, yeah, I suppose. I mean, but how many people are? I mean, for general business stuff, I would say that it's more than good enough, right? We're not talking top secret kind of stuff. And if you're talking top secret stuff, then yeah, you're probably right. Maybe you need to use something else. But for the general business user, would you say it's okay or not?
You mean Periscope in this case, or Zoom, or what are we talking about?
Sorry, I'm talking Zoom. Yeah, back to
Zoom. Yeah, I think Zoom
security.
Yeah, I think Zoom is okay if any information you're dispersing is public facing. I think it's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but if it's B2B, it still lacks a lot of stuff in my view.
Look,
Yeah.
I'd be
Okay.
interested to know how Microsoft Teams and Google Meet and WebEx, which are all very similar, compare to each other. How do they compare, and which one's better?
From the traditional players, which are highly start out to be like highly secured and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think WebEx was. I mean, I loved WebEx for a long time. Uh, and Microsoft's solution is like relatively new. It's cumbersome to use. I tried it. I mean, like even as a techie, I kind of hated it, like figuring it out kind of
Wow.
thing.
Microsoft Teams.
Yeah, it was like a little hard to get to it kind of thing, right?
And Google Meet.
Yeah.
Google Meet is simple. I think they know
Yeah.
usability. Google is good at that.
It's pretty easy. But I guess the point too is that this show is live streaming decoded. So we're assuming that what you're talking about is open for public consumption too.
Yeah.
So it really kind of goes without saying that yes, there are other channels out there that allow you to have that extra level of security, but it's
That
something
you're
that
not
you
live.
need.
Yeah.
If you're live streaming, then guess what? You want people to see it. You don't want people to come in and show you porn or whatever the case may be, right?
Yeah.
The
But you
thing I
want
love,
sort of
I really want to point this out. This is a very key takeaway from this session. Last week we did Zoom, and Zoom allows 100 guests in the room, and anyone can join if they've got the link. Whereas StreamYard only allows a maximum of 6 people in the format, and we have complete control over who they are. Complete control.
I can kick
There's
you out at any time, Keith.
That's right. You've got complete control. And why that's
I'm about to
important
do
is
it.
okay. No
Right.
worries. I
I'm
get you.
gonna kick you out.
I get you. I'll shut up now. But the point is that if you've only got 6 people, you've got a very limited group.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, you can have 6 really high performing people joining the conversation and really adding value, as opposed to 50 or 60 people sort of waiting on the fringes to burst in. And what are they adding? What are they adding to the
Yeah.
conversation?
I think you can't go overboard. Like do not go overboard. I mean, that's the number one tip I will give. Like, don't invite, even if you can invite 30 people, don't do it. Somebody will mess up. Somebody can steal the link. Even if you have control, like you can kick out people in Zoom and stuff like that. There's no way you can manage 60 people at a time. You can manage 4 or 5,
That's
up
right.
to
And
10.
everyone else like today, they can make a comment and they
Yes,
can be
exactly.
part of the conversation, but they don't have to be invasive. Not that anyone on the call today would have been,
Yeah.
but this guy that showed the stuff that he showed, I mean, he or she was just obviously an irritant, an
Yeah.
adjutant,
Yeah.
someone just wanted to
Bad
be
actors.
disruptive for the for the fun of it. And they're not the people you want. So this is an incredibly valuable sort of format for us.
Yeah.
What do you?
Another aspect, just want to mention that, like, when you're working for a company, most of us are working for somebody, like maybe it's a business, or like we're always work for ourselves, but we work with a company, like under a brand or something like that. So I think we need to keep in mind the policies and procedures of that particular
Yes, of course.
business. Even when you're home, because it's still associated with that brand. Sometimes, like, you sign a contract here in the US, it's like you can do this, you can't do that. So be cognizant of the fact that you represent a brand also. So adhere to those policies. I think the brands do not have those policies yet. Brands didn't have policies like, can I go on Twitter and say this, right? So it's like a self-regulation by people, and that's many times some of the best experts who can add a lot more value to the brand. They don't go live, or they don't go on Twitter because they are afraid that if I say this, my brand will not like it, or I cannot throw my brand under the bus, blah blah blah. So I think brands need to do some work also, besides individuals, on the
Very
security and
fantastic.
and regulation point of view.
All right, we'll wrap up the comments and then close off, I guess. Just to kind of go through a few old ones. We talked about searchy.io. Thank you so much, Anne-Marie. Really appreciate that tip. I'm going to take a look at that. and see
Amity
where.
knows a lot about this. Like, I need to pick
Yeah,
her
yeah,
brain.
yeah. Well, she's on next week as well. She
Yeah.
joined us on episode number 2.
She's one of the
number
5
2.
people in the world that's got LinkedIn Live.
Yeah, yeah. Well, 5 people in Australia. Oh, here's one.
Nice to
Thanks,
know.
Erica. Doyle, you have such a great voice for live streaming. Great team, guys. Nice blend. Yes, I agree. Great team,
Yeah.
guys. Thank you.
Radio voice you
Qual-
have, Doyle. Radio voice.
Thank you very much. Emery, quality is great. That's on Periscope. She's watching on Periscope, which is good. Let's see what else here we got. Keith, you can have AI in here as a guest too. Talking about LinkedIn live streaming. Yes. Any thoughts on WebEx versus Zoom? We are going to go through WebEx coming up in one of the other episodes coming up as well as MS Teams also. So it's on our tick box that we need to be able to take a look at. All right. So with that, thank you so much, gentlemen. Really appreciate your time. It's been a fantastic conversation. Some wonderful insights. Sarbjeet all the way from the other side of the world, and Keith all the way from Melbourne, and myself here in a little bit cloudy Perth. But thanks everybody for watching. If you do have any comments or questions, please contact us directly. Actually, I want to put these up here. Make sure I use them. You can contact Keith Keller at Keith Keller, myself, Doyle Buehler, and where's Sarbjeet?
Sarbjeet.
Go.
It's my name. Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. All right, so reach out, please. If you're in replay and you're asking a question, just hashtag replay, and we'll get on to it as quickly as possible. So once again, thank you so much. Have a wonderful day. Stay awesome, stay safe, and we will see you online.
See you later.